Lesson 6, Project Structure. This time I will focus on teaching you to structure a project correctly. See which folders to create, and review the files or assets with whom you will work in your day-to-day. Let's go see it. This project window is its structure and will allow us to organize the assets in folders and even set some from here to later use them in the game. The project window is a representation of the assets folder that is generated when creating a new project. The folders and files you add will be added to the hard drive. But I always recommend making changes through Unity and not with the operating system window. When doing things in the project, either move or create folders, change file settings, Unity manages changes through an invisible file where it will point everything you do. If you create, move, or delete from the operating system, Unity is confused with the data it handles and creates conflicts, running the risk of corruption and loss. Note that this window is a representation of the folder of the hard drive project. So if we delete an asset, it is deleted from our PC. Therefore, keep that in mind when you want to eliminate any type of file in the game project. You can increase or decrease the view of window objects, and you can move it where it is most comfortable to work with her. You can also select the type of view with 1 or 2 columns from this button. It will make the project folders on the left and the files and folders on the right. I invite you to experience these options, zoom and column view, to find the most suitable for you, to work day by day in Unity. If you look, there is a toolbar on the Create button above with a menu to create most assets. Although you will always do the same by right-clicking on the window, or even from the Assets, Create menu of the Unity toolbar. Remember that when I talk about asset, I simply mean to the files that we will use within our game. These files can sometimes be created from the program, such as scripts, scenes, or materials, and many times they will be imported, which is an important part of creating games. Think about sprites, animations, sounds, or music. In 3D games, you will even need more assets like textures or 3D models. To import files, you can do it in 2 ways: dragging files to Unity from an open window, or, if you prefer, you can do it from the Import New Asset menu. Remember that you show this menu by right-clicking on the window, by clicking on the Create button, or from the Assets menu, Create. Choose the method you choose. An import window will appear, and you can select the files you want to add to the project. Do you remember that I told you that when you modify, add, delete project files or folders, Unity is responsible for managing what's going on behind? Well, now is when I explain the concept of meta files. When importing an asset, this type of file will be created automatically with the same name of the imported asset and the extension .meta in the project folder and the new file. You will not see these files directly in Unity, but if you look at the folder through the browser of your operating system, you will see it. They are important files because they keep information of how Unity uses them within the project and the configuration of all of them. So let them be, and never delete a .meta. As I told you before, when you want to move, modify, or delete an asset of the project, always do it from Unity, since this will be responsible for configuring and moving the .meta appropriately. Believe me, following this rule, you will save more than a scare. Once an asset has been imported into the project, you can configure it and use it in Unity very easily. Although depending on the asset, you will do different steps for each type. Don't worry, since we will deal with most of the assets that you will work on, and you will learn to configure and use them in your projects. What you must understand is that sometimes many assets, they will be useful using them as properties of a component, such as sprites, which are used within the sprite renderer component, in charge of painting a sprite on the screen, and we will see it soon. Other times these assets are components in themselves, like scripts, which can be dragged the inspector of a game object or with the corresponding button, and they will be part of the object itself, being able to interact with it. In the end, a game object is nothing more than an empty object that you fill with different components, and that will give you your personality. Depending on what you are looking for, you will add some components or others. Other assets that we will see are the animation clips, sounds, music, scenes, materials, or animators. They are responsible for managing and executing the animations. During the creation process, you will see that the assets folder it will grow in complexity, so it is advisable to create some folders to structure the project. Get used to creating the most common, which are usually the animations, animators, audio, materials, prefabs, scenes, scripts, and sprites. Finally, I tell you that as in other windows, you have a search engine with possibilities to find your files. You find it up as always. You can search by name, filter by asset type, by labels that you will create and assign as you see fit, or save one as a favorite if you use it very often. These options are understandable, and I invite you to do tests with them. Quiet. I know there is a lot of information in this video. But, as I said, we will delve into the most used assets in the course. I hope you could get a good idea of the structure of a Unity project and the files you will use. But if you think you have doubts, repeat the lesson or leave comments on the forum enabled for it. I will try to help you in the best possible way. Keep the structure I gave you and create it from the beginning of a project. As they grow, it is more complicated to order them. In the next lesson, we will see how to configure the executable of our game through the Build and Player windows.